Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So I was in a shop the other day and I was getting a coffee, minding my own business, and I looked over at the magazine aisle and this caught my eye, which was the new Land Rover Discovery 6 in more detail than I've ever seen it before. And in this video what I'm going to do is share with you all the facts we know at this point about the Land Rover Discovery 6, and it's a lot more than you might think. When the car will be launched, what the spec and trim levels are going to be like, and more importantly what the sales data from Land Rover have said around sales of Discovery, Discovery Sport, Defender and Range Rover, and how the new Discovery is going to reposition itself and redefine itself to be one of the leading cars that Land Rover hopes to sell. If you're new to the channel here, welcome, but you may not know that I owned a Discovery 5 for about 4 years and really enjoyed it while it worked, had a few problems with it, ended up getting rid of it, and now I'm in a Ford Ranger Raptor. However, the Discovery has always had a place in my heart, and I actually really enjoyed my Discovery 5, so the Discovery 6 is quite an exciting concept and something that I'm really interested about, keeping an eye on and seeing how it develops. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is CarVertical. CarVertical is a vehicle checking website where you can check everything you'd want to know about your next vehicle purchase. It tells you if the vehicle's been crashed before, has it been written off, has it been stolen before, and anything else you'd want to know about a vehicle before you go ahead and buy. If it's your first time using CarVertical, you get 20% off your first vehicle check using my code DOCTOR. I've also pinned a link in the comments and in the description of this video so you can click through and go ahead and do your first vehicle check. Now let's get back to the Discovery 6. Jaguar Land Rover have taken the big decision to split how their business is branded. So instead of it being Land Rover as the key brand, they've actually split the brand up into a few different categories, and that is Range Rover, Discovery and Defender. And so for each of those, they've really focused on creating a whole almost car brand within the brand itself. And so for example, you've probably seen with the new Defender, you've got the 90, 110, 130. The SV division has been involved and just created the Defender Octa, and actually that's going to happen with each of their brands. It's happened with Range Rover, with the Range Rover Sport, the SV versions of them, and they're actually talking about doing the same with Discovery. So Discovery will have a number of trim levels, but it will also have an SV version of the Discovery, which is quite exciting and something that Land Rover have never done before. And so I think this new way of splitting the business is going to be quite interesting to see what it looks like for Discovery. Before we take a look at the new Discovery 6 and some of the renders, which actually probably are going to be quite realistic to what it will look like, I understand they're going for a more square design, looking at these images in Autocar. But let's talk about sales figures and why they're reinventing this vehicle, because the sales figures are quite shocking. So if you look at the Discovery 5, it's the current model, the current shape, has been on sale since 2017. That makes it the oldest one that they've got, the oldest model that Land Rover have got at the moment. And it is also the slowest selling vehicle. Discovery is the slowest. It sold 16,750 globally last year, and that's half of how many Discovery Sports that they sold, which is quite an interesting fact. If you look at it from January to June for this year, Discovery had sold 8,000 vehicles. The Discovery Sport has sold 15,000 vehicles. But when you compare that to things like Defender sold 55,000. Range Rover sold 36,000. So if you were just to compare it to Defender, which really many would say replaced the Land Rover Discovery 4 in its style, in its design and how it's meant to be used, it's no surprise that Defender sold 55,000 units whilst Discovery only sold 8,000. It really is probably one of the dying designs and dying parts of their business. I think they've realised that, and that's why they're reinventing the Discovery 6 to take over what the Land Rover Discovery 4 did so well and so many people loved. I think as many people that probably watch this channel are aware, Defender has completely cannibalized the Discovery. When the Discovery 5 was launched, it wasn't really a follow-on from the Discovery 4, and actually the Defender probably was more of a follow-on. And they found that there was a 6 times higher sale rate on the Defender than the Discovery. The new one does look better, and it looks like it's probably going to take some of the design cues from the Discovery 4, and they're firmly trying to reposition it as being the family adventure vehicle, which will still have elements of luxury about it that the Defender probably doesn't have. Let's take a look at the design of the vehicle, and I read this in here and I'm not sure if it's good news or bad news, but it says that JLR will attempt to set Discovery apart by moving into a new space. The Volkswagen ID Buzz has been touted as a potential reference for the vehicle's design. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it's kind of going for more of that MPV style because it's a 7-seater, right? So it's almost like a bit of a minivan, a bit of a minibus, and that's what they're touting as a reference point for it, which I'm not sure if that's going to work. It goes on to say that JLR will probably end up using the current MLA platform, which is the one that they use on the Range Rover currently, and that's what they're going to be using. And when you're thinking about electric and engine types, it says that they've confirmed plans for electric Land Rovers by 2026 and expected that the Discovery 6 will probably be one of them, which makes sense, right? I'm still not completely sure about a full electric Land Rover anything, like a Range Rover or anything like that, but I know JLR have got quite a lot of experience working with Jaguar to create electric vehicles that work well, and they've spent time developing their electric division with the Jaguar I-Pace, for example. But it does say that JLR have increased their investment into versatile vehicle architectures from £15 billion to £18 billion, and that's in light of fluctuating EV demand, and double down on the importance of things like plug-in hybrids rather than just pure EV vehicles. So there may even be the possibility that this vehicle will be launched with a pure fuel engine, not a battery engine at all. It could be available like that, but it's probably going to push towards the plug-in hybrids as the way forward. For example, the P400e that they use across many of their vehicles. I think the hybrid version of this vehicle would probably be something that I would be more interested in rather than a pure electric version. I think if you do a hybrid vehicle that does 30, 60 miles electric in town driving, then switches over to a decent engine, that'd probably be my choice if I was looking at this vehicle. So if we use the 2025 Range Rover platform, the full electric version, as maybe a base to what the Discovery 6 would look like, that is an 800-volt electric architecture system. It has rapid charging, and apparently its performance will be comparable to that of the existing V8 Range Rover, both on and off-road, which is going to be pretty incredible to do in a full electric vehicle. Now, what I find really interesting about the new Discovery lineup is the fact that JLR's SVO bespoke division do say that they're going to make a similar version in the Discovery lineup, and I can't imagine what that will be like, but it might be something like the Defender Octa or something like that. So large engine, more luxurious refinement inside, better materials. I'm not really sure at the moment, but it says that that's what they're going to look at doing, is creating a flagship model within the Discovery Range 2, which hasn't really been done before. You had the Metropolitan Edition and stuff like this, but nothing significantly different to the standard lineup of Discovery. And I think that'll be quite interesting when they do that. For me, one of the biggest questions about the Discovery 6 will be price, because as it says here, the current average price for all JLR models is £80,000, and that price just keeps going higher and higher. Certainly with Defenders, when they were first launched, people thought they were quite high, and they've just gone incrementally higher and higher too. Discovery 6 will probably be higher than a Defender if it sits in the lineup of vehicles as it traditionally did. So you're probably looking at a vehicle that's going to be 80-something thousand for a Discovery. And would that be a vehicle you would buy for, let's say, £85,000 with a good spec and the engine you want? It's a lot of money for a Discovery, when a long time ago, when we were talking about Discovery 3s and Discovery 4s, they were a much more affordable way to get into the Land Rover brand and still provided you with an adventure car for the family that can haul a load of luggage. Is the new Discovery going to be too refined to be able to live up to its name as it traditionally always has? Really interested to hear your thoughts on all of that. What do you think of the Discovery 6? And will this be a vehicle that you're interested in buying when it comes out in a couple of years?